You guys just caught what's going on. I'm making this, clarifying some butter. You're gonna have to clarify some butter too. And I didn't want it to, it got to the point where it's clarified, and I just wasn't paying attention, and almost got to the point where it's gonna start browning. So that's why I put my bowl here, put some cold water in it, put my pod in it to cool my pot down so it would stop it. If I had to just take it off and turn it off, that carryover temperature from the pot could have kept it going and could have browned up on me, which I don't want to do.
So the butter would just got brown.
We got brown, and there's a word, there's a name for that. Anybody know what we call brown butter?
Bear noisette.
What's that?
Bear noisette.
Yes, in a way, yeah. So bear noisette would be,
That's what it said in the book when we first had.
or ghee, G-H-E-E. Ever heard that? Did you see that in the book? It's in there, I think maybe 146. I've written it either 137 or 146. In your books, it talks a little bit about oils, and 137, I think it talks about oils and ghee. Let's see if I'm right. Don't put your book on your cutting board like I'm doing, by the way.
I saw on YouTube
134.
a guy last night was cutting full meat.
No.
It took him 11 minutes. He was crazy.
Sorry, 132. 132, it talks about like oils and cooking oils and stuff, and it gives you a little bit about smoking point. So smoking point of clarified butter is 204 degrees Celsius, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Canola oil is 218 degrees Celsius. So that's why often, I'll talk about this a little bit next week as well, when we're pan frying and stuff, we put a little bit of clarified butter in. Sometimes we'll put a little bit of canola oil in there, or grapeseed oil, which will actually raise the smoking point of everything that's in the pan. So it's 132, and then 146, yeah, 146 it talks about ghee. So ghee, an Indian version of clarified butter, originally made from water buffalo milk. Smoke point, nutty, caramel-like flavor. So they brown it just a little bit. So beurre noisette is like the French term of that. So usually we do it in a pan though. When we do beurre noisette, we would put the butter in the pan, like when we pan fry, we'll throw some butter in with it and brown it in there. Yeah, that's generally how we do beurre noisette. Cool. So, alright, so clarified butter, a couple things before I get, let's do beef first and then I'll get into that stuff. So beef, I'm gonna get you back up. I'm gonna go over here, I got a little board to write on. So you guys can move that way. We'll do a little bit of review. So the fat on the outside of the carcass, you guys remember when we were bucking it up there, we were talking about what the fat is called on the outside of the carcass. No, that's connective tissue. So,
fat cat.
Do you mind if I turn that fan off?
yeah, actually, I just turned it on to get it going. Connective. So connective tissue, we have collagen. I don't spell well. Collagen, elastin. Okay. Which one breaks down with moist tea cooking?
Collagen.
Collagen, that's right. This one always has to be removed. Okay, fat, we have, I'm not going to get them all. Subcutaneous, we have intermuscular, intramuscular, that's enough. So subcutaneous is on the outside. Intermuscular fat would be like on the inside of the muscle, and marbling. Okay, so marbling is those little flecks of fat that are inside the muscle, right? The front part of the animal, so tougher cuts, fine collagen, tougher pieces. How are we going to cook it? Are we going to grill it?
Stew it, braise it.
What's that?
Stew it or braise it.
Stewing or braising, yeah, or simmering in some cases as well. Chef O'Coin was doing pork hock yesterday, and I think he had some tongue in there as well. And he didn't brown them first, so it's not the combination. He just simmered them, so that would be considered just straight up moist tea cooking. Usually with beef and stuff, so things like veal shank, let's say we'll talk about, or beef shank would be, we would be braising it, right? The difference between braising and stewing, do you remember we talked about that? size of the meat, right? So braising would be a larger cut of meat. So if we have a full shank, we're gonna braise it. If we have a small little piece we're gonna do tomorrow, we will stew it. So braising, stewing. My notes are all over the place, right? Do you notice that? They go crazy. If you want me to clarify and come back to something, then just speak up, okay? Otherwise I'm just gonna blast through this. So dry heat, like broiling and grilling, am I gonna do tougher cuts of meat or more tender? Okay. Okay. Good. So a beef carcass, after they split it into two sides, what do they split it into?
Quarters. Four quarters.
And then after quarters, it gets into what?
Primals.
Primals.
Yeah. Just that's more juicy.
Primals are all there. How many primals do we have in a side of beef? 8. Thank you. Awesome. And what temperature do we store beef at? Colin, do you remember what temperature we store beef at? What's that? Yeah, give me a range. All meat's about the same. We did it with poultry. Same range. Ben? -1 to 2 degrees, yeah. Like meat in general, you can just call it that. -1 to 2 degrees Celsius. Cool. Okay. Following along. Let me slow down at all. We're doing good, okay?
Bless you.
Grading. Does beef have to be graded?
No, you have to be inspected.
It has to be inspected, it doesn't have to be graded. What shape is the inspection stamp?
Triangle.
Circle?
Round. Circle one. Circle one.
No, it's round.
That's the brain.
I know.
Grading, so that would be, actually it would be inside like that. Okay. And then we also have the triangle, which is for, do you remember what part of grading that is? What's that? The yield, yeah. Carcass
That's
yield.
a dam though, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. Like a yield
I
sign.
never even noticed that before.
It's like a
Yeah.
yield sign.
It's like a yield.
Mind equal blow.
And that's a number, 1 to 3 on beef. What are the cuts? What kind of steaks do we get off of the tenderloin? No, off of the tenderloin. So we have a tenderloin muscle that comes out of. Where does the tenderloin? Where do we cut the tenderloin? Where do we cut the tenderloin out of? It's kind of a trick question in a way. But the long loin. So the combination of, if you look on the back, we have the long loin, which is made up of the short loin and the sirloin. The tenderloin comes out of there, and I drew one in, right? A little oval thing in there. Right. So tenderloin, on your PowerPoint, it breaks it up into a couple different cuts. Do you remember what the cuts are? Can you give me one? One cut from a tenderloin. What's that? Stewing meat's not off of the tenderloin. No, tenderloin we only get like steaks off of. No, where do you think the ribeye comes from?
That's the most tenderest cut.
Where do you think it's
And-
one of?
Yes.
It's not that most, it's up there. Where do you think the rib eye comes from?
The rib.
The rib from.
The middle of the rib.
Roll my eyes.
The eye.
Colin, give me a cut from the tenderloin. That comes from the strip loin.
Is that like the kid?
But the lion.
There's like a T1 and another one.
Tenderloin tips. We got
The
the big one for
tenders?
2. Remember Chateaubriand? Okay.
That's it.
Chateaubriand tenderloin tips, and we have one called Tornado. What's that? The butt? That's part of tenderloin. So the cuts are filet or filet mignon. Tenderloin tips, Chateaubriand, Tournedos. Hang on, I'm drawing a little thing here. So this is getting all over the place. Tenderloin tips, Chateaubriand, Tournedos, filet mignon come out of the tenderloin. Okay? The tenderloin basically looks like we have a big piece like that and it comes down like this. Remember the little chain on the side of it that we removed? And then this piece right here is called the butt. It's called the tail. Right here we got the Chateaubriand. And here we got filet mignon. And here we got Tournedos. Cool? You guys get all that?
I did.
Leave that there. You can take a picture or write it down. You can't see it. I'll leave it up. I'm not going to get rid of it, okay? So you can poke up there later on. Alright, most of the beef that we get comes from, we classify the animals. Remember, cows, bulls, calves, steers, and heifers.
Yes, steers and heifers.
Right. Yeah, so that we get them, the stuff that goes into the beef program comes from steers and heifers, but one of them more than the other. Which one would it be more?
Steers.
More steers, right. Female, yeah. Before they have a calf. They have a calf, good morning, sir. Do you remember where we separate the quarters? Where do we cut? Between what ribs?
12 from 13.
Thank you very much. Shoulder quad. Take a guess what primal you would find a shoulder quad in. What's that? Chuck. That's right. How many ribs are in the prime rib? How many bones?
12.
7.
7.
7 in the what?
7 in the prime rib.
Oh, in the front.
Prime rib, 7 bones. Kind of looks like a D. 7 bones. Another name for the H bone.
Hip bone.
Rumble bone.
Rump bone. Hip bone. Sorry.
Okay, that's enough for today. That's enough of that.
Hey, Chef, is there a reason why they use extra